Welcome. So today I'm really excited to introduce you to Brian Kelly, the owner of SunPower by Seabright Solar. They're one of the largest solar power companies in America right now. And they have locations in New Jersey, New York, and California. So Brian, tell me, how did you come up with the idea that would become Seabright?
I mean, I was just interested. I was learning about the field a little over 2 decades ago, so I did a lot of research. I went back to grad school, got some training, and started doing some solar trainings when the market was very new. And it was just an interest of mine, and I knew how to run a business, so I decided to go all in and do exactly what I wanted to do.
And so how did it evolve? You started in New Jersey and Seabright, and then...
Yeah, so we started up in 2003. I opened up in New Jersey, and then around 2006, 2007, we expanded to New York and Southern California. And then from that point, we eventually opened up in the Central Coast of California, where we also operate, and Eastern Pennsylvania.
Wow. And how has solar changed since you first started? What do you think the biggest changes are?
I think the technology continues to change every year. It's a very dynamic... It's still a new industry. Right. You know, it's really maturing now, but it still changes. Financing solution changes. The quality of the panels, the warranties change. The landscape changes too. A lot of vendors and installers and manufacturers come and go, unfortunately. So even though every year the market grows, I think one of the biggest things is that the players change. Unfortunately, it's you have a lot of fallout.
And on that note of growth, you've been doing a lot of growth at Seabright, with the expansion in California, and now also bringing on this EV charging and service and maintenance. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it seems to complement our business pretty well, and it helps our customers out. So what we historically did, like a lot of solar integrators, we'd sell, design, sell, install, maintain our customer systems. But then after a while, we realized that there's such a big O&M market. And then coupling that with the fact that electric vehicles are growing. I drive an electric vehicle. I believe you drive an electric vehicle. Yeah. So it's a good marriage for our customers that they can get solar plus have an EV charger, and then of course we can also maintain our own customers plus non-Seabright solar customers. We can also work on their projects for O&M. So
yeah, I thought it was so shocking that I found out recently that there's over 1 million orphaned homeowners in America, which means that either their manufacturer, their installer, or both are no longer in business.
That's exactly, and that's what I was touching on before, is that that's part of the change in the industry, is that unfortunately, so many companies have unfortunately phased out or gone out, and then there are a lot of customers in need of service. So that's why we're trying to help as many people as we can.
What do you think about recycling? Like now that we're kind of over this 20-year gap, and a lot of people now are needing to expand systems or remove them, where do you think the recycling is going?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the components on like a solar module, for instance, whether it's the glass or the aluminum, it's recyclable. It's really the wafers you have to figure out. And even at the show right now, RE+, like they do have a couple solar panel manufacturers. But I think it depends on the components. The racking, that's all mostly aluminum. You have some steel components. And but the modules really are, one of the things that, I think that'll evolve more over the next few years to make sure they're pretty good ways to recycle all the components and not really have any waste to it. But I mean, the good thing is, like, it's true, like when I've been installing for over 20 years now, but when you had a 25 plus year warranty, it was kind of like, well, we'll worry about it then.
Right.
And now it's then. Now we even upgrade some of our own systems. The customers just want to either get a new system for whatever reason, or they want to expand or remove old systems. So I do think you'll see that evolve a lot more quickly now that there's so many modules being removed from the market.
Yeah, and I think, back to the EV, it's so interesting that in the next 5 years, 20% of all vehicles on the road will be electric, and that includes marine vessels. So we're seeing a big kind of push of also port and marine electrification.
Sure.
But when my mom actually was the first one to get a Tesla.
Oh, great.
And then we really weren't aware of what this trickle charge really meant. Mm-hmm. And that is the perfect name for it. It was so slow. I mean, you could watch all day your car charge. I think that's really one of the problems that the consumers don't realize, is that you need to have this at level 2 charger.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, and depending on where you live and the demand charges, you need to have storage to be able to offset. Otherwise, you may not really be saving that much right away, or be in a time gap of where you're going to charge your car.
Yeah, and that's what happens to a lot of our customers, or just people who are buying new EV, and if they don't get that level 2 charger installed. When I first got my electric vehicle like 5 years ago, and I just had the 120 plug, and it was charging my car at about 3 miles per hour. And I was like, oh, wow, it's like keep it charged for a day and a half and I'm good to go. But yeah, so then the level 2 charge, most of these, then you can charge 25, 30 miles an hour. So overnight, the goal is that most cars can recharge fully. So yeah, that's why we like offering them. And they're pretty easy. It's just like a 240 outlet application, and some type of a level 2 charger is just a way for homeowners to go.
Yeah, I knew you were featuring the wall box is kind
Sure.
of a preferred one, and
It's a nice one.
point. Yeah, I have a charge point in my house.
That's great.
Yeah. So, where do you want to be in the next 5 years?
I think we're on course already. Once we're going to continue with our residential and commercial markets, new development, new business, and then also, as we briefly touched on, do more O&M, both for internal and external customers. Obviously, get into battery storage more. We already do quite a bit of battery storage, but that's going to grow in both our commercial and residential markets, and always making sure we have a strong customer service. We're always great in the back end with customer service, but you have to stay on top of it. It's a wheel in motion. You always have to keep making sure each year in a couple like mine, 3 departments, they're always working optimally. And when there's something that's not working optimally, just trying to adapt quickly, fix it, staff up or train better to make sure we keep evolving as we grow. So that's really it. Just keep the same path of what our old core markets are, residential, commercial, solar, but then also break into more and more EV and battery storage and O&M.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think that part of the new app that we just launched, that will also help accelerate the customer's experience.
Absolutely, it's great.
So that being
I love
able to
that.
see all the different stages where they're in faster, make in the palm of their hands, see where their installation's going. So, what do you think about commercial storage? Like, what are we looking for nowadays? Like, what's coming?
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit. So for commercial storage, you have like 2 of the big buckets. One would be things like either peak or demand shaving, and then the other one would be actually, powering up when there's a power outage. Like most residential units are for power outages. Commercially, you'll see a lot of demand to get rid of demand charge. Yeah, so first of all, identifying what the customer's looking for, what they need, and then over the last few years, it was tough because if we spec out a commercial storage system, the lead times from some of the suppliers would be 18 months, 2 years, 2 years plus. So it's kind of tough to roll that into a solar design and then do that. So I think right now we smoked a bunch of vendors this time about larger scale commercial storage. So I think there's a huge market for it. And I think the fact that lead times and also the training and all the tech support are all improving, that I think over the next 5 years we'll see a lot more development in that too.
And where is the biggest growth for commercial for you guys right now? Has NEM 3.0 had any impact on your business, you'd say?
Yeah, so in California with the transition from NEM 2 to NEM 3, that's where we see it so far a lot residentially, where we're selling a lot more systems with batteries so that they can obviously take advantage of, off-peak times and everything. And you'll see the same in commercial too. So I know most of the California installers like myself, we all kind of, gathered all of our nuts and stored them up during NEM 2, and so we're still installing all those projects. But now, I think you'll see storage play a much bigger role in California to offset some of the negative impacts of NEM 3.
Yeah, and being from Hawaii, I think we kind of know that it's not the end of days, right? The doom and gloom of, the end of NEM metering, it ended in Hawaii in 2015.
Yeah.
And we've been doing just great.
Yeah, California, there's national slowdown across the board, but we always land on our feet. The companies that have been through this, before, there are all kinds of market changes, and this is one the utilities deemed necessary. But you can adapt, and solar is still very viable in California. You do often have to add storage to make it more optimal, but it still does. We're still designing and selling systems every day, and it's still a very viable market.
What do you think about bi-directional charging?
I think it's great. We're getting into that too. We're working with SunPower, one of our major partners right now on that. And for the homeowners, we're going to get a vehicle that can actually, power up their house. It's a neat application. It's a great dual use, so we're going to be installing them, as the demand increases. So I think it's a great application.
Awesome. So, while we're talking, I wanted to ask you a little bit about tips for our viewers on how to spot a fraud, either when working with a solar company or basically how to pick a partner And have you been through any experiences that you like to share that can help our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, there's in our industry, there are so many different things you can look at, like whether it's going to buy a new solar system. I mean, just do your best. Everyone is supposed to get a number of quotes, but I think the key things to look at: make sure you understand your own electric bill and the true savings, the projections. When people sell solar systems, they can, a homeowner or business owner is trusting the person who's selling them a system or designing the system for them that the information is accurate. So I'd say do your best to research everything from your own utility rates to your system production, and of course the equipment too. Make sure you understand whatever equipment you might be buying and the warranties behind them. I think those are all critical things that any homeowner or business owner should do. Aside from just taking the word from any solar company, including mine, just do your own research as best as possible, and don't be afraid to get a couple quotes until you fully understand where you're getting, because it's a long-term relationship. If you get a solar system on your home or business, it really theoretically could be there for 35 years.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, we have systems that are well over 20.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a good idea just to take your time up front, make sure you understand where you're getting at that level. And then all kinds of things we've worked with, whether it's in marketing or advertising or other installation firms. We've seen all, I don't want to say sketchy things, but questionable things. So it's like everything else. We can just be careful with your partners and, make your best call at the time. But yeah, we've seen quite a bit in the last 20 plus years.
Yeah, and I think that that's part of also the shadiness of the industry, right? And one of the best ways to see that is on the production guarantee. So if you're looking at your system and they're telling you that you have eastern and western facing panels, but they're giving you the same yield as a southern facing panel, then you know that that's trouble.
That's a great example. Yeah.
Yeah, we see a lot of that. And then people get a bill and they're like, why do I have a bill? It's like, well, you actually don't have 100% offset, right?
Yeah, that is one of the things that's frustrated me and I've seen it over literally for decades, where certain companies will just, in my opinion, overestimate how productive a system, and so on paper it looks great because the economics look better.
Right.
But I know going in, and I never say somebody else is not offering something that's accurate, but I see it. I'm like, oh, so I kind of like just analyze it. I'm like, well, why do you think this system here, which in my opinion has better equipment, is projected to produce less than this system here? Exactly. That's why kind of just like, without saying, I don't believe the other company or anything like that, just like, educate the customer and let them, then you kind of help them do their own due diligence.
Yeah, and that's what I think with this, what is so sad right now is that I call it solar fatigue. Because, a homeowner, they've gone through this awareness funnel. Now they're aware solar exists, consideration, God, my bill keeps getting higher and higher. What am I going to do about it? Intent. Now I'm online or calling my neighbor or calling my mom, looking for solar solutions. And then they're now in this wild, wild west of digital marketing.
Sure.
Right? And now they go to a company and they fill out a form. And before you know it, they're getting 100 calls and they panic. And there's just too many options and they're getting told too many different things. And then instead of doing something, they decide to do nothing. And we're really at a point right now with global warming and even the price of all items becoming more expensive, that the consumer really can't wait. Like, this is the one thing that they can do that can control their costs today.
Sure.
And it's disappointing when
it is.
Yeah.
It is this. If you see something that is out of line, it kind of the industry has a great reputation overall, but there are black eyes along the way where you get some bad press or something if something bad does happen, or a certain company goes out of business or a manufacturer, and then we'll see warranty issues from either installers or manufacturers that aren't being honored, who have unfortunately gone defunct. So things like that do happen, but that's all, again, quality control. Make sure homeowners and business owners keep doing their own due diligence. But yeah, no, it's tough. We have to roll with the punches, and with any growing industry.
Yeah. What do you think about how leases change now? I mean, I think that's another thing that I'm hearing in different markets, is that we've done such a great job, solar companies, as telling the homeowner, oh, no, don't go with the lease, go with the loan, because then you get the tax credits. But now with interest rates being so high and these dealer fees as being outrageous, now changing the story to a lease, or as we're calling now, PPA, maybe.
Yeah.
And in some situations, I think that's been hard for a lot of homeowners that don't come. I'm not sure if you've experienced anything like that.
Yeah, it often changes with the economy. Once things, like right now, as you said, with interest rates going up and some people prefer hanging on to their cash. So then all of a sudden, leasing is nice. It's like no money up front. But again, that's where a homeowner in particular should definitely take their time with that too, because a lease can be great. There is legitimate, no money up front, but you have to make sure that the payments versus your utility offset, keep an eye, make sure you know if there's an annual escalator, what that is, what's the term of the lease. So there are a lot of factors, and it can be very confusing to any homeowner, because in probably 95% of the cases, it's a person's first solar system. So it's all news to them, and then they have to take the professional's word on something. And that's why leasing can be great in the right situation. But you just have to be very mindful of those factors. Make sure it's a real good value for you.
Especially now, I think that with what's going on with global warming and whatnot, 25 years, that's kick the can down the road. I mean, let's see if we make it,
Exactly. Yeah. For a nice optimistic. Yeah.
No, we will. We'll make it with,
So yeah, but no, though, I think the leasing right now, you do see leasing and PPA, in my opinion, they're different, but they're very similar.
Yeah.
So you want to see the subtleties between the two. But I do think that market's going to continue to pick up right now. I know in the markets that we work in, especially working with our vendors, they say that across the board they see that the non-purchase items like the cash and loan options, they're still available, but they're kind of trickling down a little bit as lease and PPA increases. So, and it happened before, after the economic crash back in '08, and then in the years following, they saw a lot of leasing pop up, and because people either didn't have the money or they didn't want to spend it on solar. So the leasing was a nice way to cut your overhead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easy.
The only thing that doesn't change as you age is your income, right?
Yep.
Typically. And I don't know if people are going to be able to afford this power. But we know that the average American homeowner spends 5% more power every year. Just they consume more power.
Yeah.
With all the devices and all their toys, and the kids has how many devices do they have? And that matched with the rising rate of power. I mean, it's
sure. Yeah, I mean, across the board, I mean, it varies by state, by utility company, but overall, I mean, you're from Hawaii, the rates, they're pretty crazy. But, in the markets we work in, I mean, over time, electric companies, a particular one might have a static rate. Sometimes they have a minor dip, but over time, they all go up. Every one that I've worked with, they escalate over time. So that's why if you buy a solar system, or even if you get a lease locked in with a good rate, it's really a way to kind of secure your power up front for the long term. And that's really a nice way to insulate yourself against utility rate increases. And you have more control over your own power.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Well, thanks so much for coming and chatting about solar with me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
To learn more about Seabright, go to seabrightsolar.com.